Hello and welcome to Corey's Datapad, where today we're going to be talking about one of the strangest Jedi Masters who existed in the Old Republic. Star Wars is full of stories about Jedi and other Force sensitives coming from any number of species, from humans to Hutts and even some tree-like species. But today we're going to be talking about Jedi belonging to the Dwynogwyn species, also known as the much more easily pronounced Star Dragons. The Star Dragons were a mysterious and long-lived species whose origins were unknown, but while we don't know where they originated, we do know there was a planet in the Outer Rim called Shwaguaras, or the Graveyard of the Dragons, where they were said to go to die. The Star Dragons were able to travel through space without ships and breathe fire, which is where they got the name Star Dragons. Every depiction of Star Dragons looks somewhat different, which seems to be reconciled in-universe by having a wide variety of forms in general. Star Dragons have made several appearances over the years, but they were first introduced in the Star Wars Adventures magazine, which was a supplement to the old West End Games tabletop RPGs, including a ton of short stories with stat blocks and adventure ideas for characters. In one of those stories, called The Most Dangerous Foe, where Star Dragons first appeared, we meet Jedi Master Wilm Lywin. Master Lywin was a member of the Jedi Order from at least 5,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, up until at least 4,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, so that last figure is around the time of Knights of the Old Republic. Though he may have survived even the Jedi Civil War and subsequent purges, we don't know. When the character was introduced, KOTOR was nowhere near coming out, so this period of time and even the prequels were pretty loosely developed beyond the Tales of the Jedi comic series. So while there was an idea about Sith Wars existing, there was little known about the original Jedi Order, especially as it would show up in the Clone Wars, which means there's some stuff that gets talked about in this story in particular, but a lot of the kind of long in the past stories that don't quite match up with the prequels. For example, the short story with Wilm involves some Jedi children being taken at quite old ages to the Jedi Order, and even keeping in contact with their families. Something which occurs a lot before the prequels happened, and which usually gets chalked up to different Jedi sects, and usually led by different groups of Jedi, so the Order was a bit more spread out and split, rather than just being one ubiquitous Jedi Order. So from around 5,000 to 4,600 years before the Battle of Yavin, Lywin was responsible for escorting one of the many Jedi Praxium ships operating throughout the galaxy. These included ships like the Cha'an-Thor, which crashed on Dathomir from the Courtship of Princess Leia novel, essentially spacefaring Jedi academies operating away from their primary temples. Following these 4 centuries, Master Wilm settled on the planet Teia 4 with the introduction of the Teian Praxium, a fixed-location Jedi academy similar to the one that could be found on, for example, Dantooine or other locations in the galaxy at the time, but which probably also fell to the Sith assaults after the Jedi Civil War. Wilm acts as a guide for Jedi between the Praxium and the Cave of Truth, which is more or less the same thing that we see in Episode 5 in the Dagobah Cave. In the Most Dangerous Foe short story, when he encounters 2 Jedi students on their way to the cave, who mistake him for an enemy, Wilm even does joke that the Sith Wars must be going poorly for the 2 lost and confused students to be sent, so there was definitely intent to tie in some of the references to, for example, Tales of the Jedi content with this character and short story. Well, Wilm Lywin doesn't appear anywhere else, and the short story is presented as a Rebel-era story being told to children about thousands of years before. The intent of the book does seem to be that at least that the broad strokes of the story and the characters are accurate. So the character of Wilm Lywin does seem to have been intended to be a real character, rather than just a children's story. The story includes character stats for multiple characters including Lywin, and notes that along with leaving the Jedi Praxium on its own more and more as time went on, and becoming more of a solitary individual, Lywin also has very high stats in computer programming. There was actually also intended to be another incredibly powerful Star Dragon Jedi beyond just Lywin. In an unfortunately cancelled additional sourcebook covering the Clone Wars, Dan Wallace, who contributed to many Star Wars sourcebooks, says he had intended to create another Star Dragon Jedi during the Clone Wars, who, quote, released so much Force energy in response to a Separatist orbital bombardment that she inadvertently destroyed the garden planet of Tan Concale. So these were clearly intended to be very strong characters. They attacked Coruscant at one point too when they first met the Republic, so maybe I'll do a video on that if people are interested. Either way, that's going to do it for today's video. If you've enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe for more. If not, why'd you make it to the credits? Either way, if you have a suggestion for what you'd like to see in a future video, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.